Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Sharon. How's everything going over there in Minnesota? I know I just left you yesterday or 2 days ago, but I am just now able to take a breath. I know you guys got a lot going on. Can you just give us a little update?
Yeah, so probably everyone knows that they switched the lead here in Minnesota from the federal government from what was his name, Bovee,
Oh, yeah,
to the head of the immigration department, Tom Tom somebody,
Tom
but
Holman.
in Tom Holman, yeah, and but they're the things that he's on record saying is not any different than the other person. So, we just have to wait and see what happens. In the meantime, the head of the not is now what the Department of War.
Hegseth?
Um,
Hegseth?
yes, yeah, he's opened up Fort Snelling as an active duty site. So that doesn't, who knows what they're doing, but that doesn't bode well either
Yeah.
for, the conversations that Governor Walz and the Mayor Fry have had with the president.
Has
He's
things
saying they're going to make things nice.
yeah. Has things de-escalated with the ice on the ground? Are people still
No,
um
people are still getting, in fact,
taking
just
yeah.
a few minutes ago, somebody said that they were outside one of the schools in South Minneapolis this morning. And, there was, I watched a gathering last night where they were outside of Bovino's, uh, is that what his name is, Bovino?
Yeah, I think you know.
Outside of his hotel, making a lot of noise and saying goodbye to him. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of people out and about last night. I just saw it also where they have arrested another, that young native guy that they pulled out of his aunt's car. He was from Red Lake.
Uh-huh.
That was a couple weeks ago now.
Yep.
They had let him go, and then they picked him up again, and they let him go, and now they're charging him with assault. And that kid didn't do any. They said they charging him with an assault he committed while he was in custody.
Oh, federal assault charge.
Yeah, so I don't know how somebody can assault. He didn't assault them when they were dragging him out of the car,
Yeah.
and his aunt was sitting in the car. And how could he assault somebody? They're keeping them with, everybody says they have leg irons on, right?
Yeah.
And pretty hard to assault somebody, but no,
Yeah.
so that everything is,
Sharon, would you mind
they're still
would
doing
you
things.
would you mind telling the story about the Lori's daughter about how what happened to her?
Yeah,
Because I think people I haven't been able to report on the air, and that's not getting out to people, and so that's a scary thing, and I think we just need to let folks know.
yeah. And well, one of the water walkers who walked all the way on the Missouri Water Walk, her daughter, I'm not going to use their names because
Yeah.
they haven't posted it, but it was 2 weeks ago on Wednesday night. I saw a post that my grandson had posted that this young woman had gotten arrested, and it was, looking at the video, it was really heartbreaking because, they had her by both arms and she was saying, help me, help me. And they broke her windows, they snatched her up, and this was south, it was in Goodhue County, so that's sort of down by Red Wing, and they snatched her up there. And so when I talked to her mom that night, she said they I said, what can I do? And she said, just hold her in your heart because we have the best people working to get her out. And they did not release her until the 72 hours hold was over. They have 72 hours to press charges, and they did not press any charges. They let her go at 72 hours, but they had taken her, as I understand it, to someplace. Then they took her to the Whipple building, and then they took her someplace else, and then I believe back to the Whipple building where they discharged her. This young woman was, when they opened the door, She just ran. She just wanted to get away from there so badly. And while she was running out to the parking lot, ICE agents tackled her and dragged her back inside. You know, they're so incompetent, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
That's right.
So once they got her inside, then, they were told that, we just released her. And so then they let her go again.
Yep.
But it's that kind of it's just they're incompetent.
Yep. They're
The things that
untrained. Yep.
they're untrained, they I'm probably sure a lot of them jumped in it for the $50,000 sign-up bonus,
Yep.
and which somebody said they don't get for 5 years.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like the Trump steaks.
yeah,
You get them when they're bad.
you know, it's
It's disturbing,
it
and it hasn't
it's
stopped.
just
Yeah.
yes, and it's just and it's when I was coming home last night, and I live outside the city. When I was driving home, there was just coming into Chicago. There was an unmarked big Suburban parked on the side of the road, and just sitting there, and so you just don't know where they're going to show up, or who they're looking for, or
Yeah.
uh,
And
so today we're going to do what we do, and there's a bunch of us Native women are going to go down to the memorial site where Alex, they have the memorial site there for Alex Pretty, and we're going to go down there and sing a few songs this
and
afternoon.
and Sharon, how far is that? And we just jumped right into it, but Sharon's office is very close to that place, right? You're building
Yeah,
the Indigenous
yeah,
Peoples
it's
Task Force.
probably let's see, you go over we're on 14th, so you go over 2 blocks. We're on 24th to 14th and 24th, and you go over 2 more blocks to 26th, and it's probably 7 or 8 blocks down to Nicollet.
Right. And that's where, in your office is down near Franklin, where the Indian Center is, and where folks who have traveled maybe to Minneapolis have been there and
Yeah.
around that area. So that's very close to home. And Renee Good, she was shot very close to that as well, right? It's
Yes,
within a
probably within a
mile
mile. Yeah.
distance. And
So,
it's disturbing. It's scary, I think, to see, that this is there's no it's not really I think affecting folks on a national scale, and it feels weird to me that it's business as usual when you guys are going through what you guys are going through. You and I watched it together, the aftermath of what happened. Not only did they shoot the guy, but then they like terrorized the neighborhood who were upset about it, right?
yeah. I mean, they would approach, back up, and then tear gas, they'd run forward, tear gas people. And then I think what they were doing was using facial recognition
Yeah.
to see the people who were filming.
Hmm.
So then, they would do the smoke screen and then go, and I think they grabbed every single person that was a close witness. And now on the news today, they're saying that they had broke his rib a week
Hmm.
before.
Oh,
So
wow.
this was not an isolated thing. They knew who he was, and they went after him. And that, I think, is
Alex Preddy. Oh, I
yes,
didn't hear that. Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So, wow. The way that he stood there, and his last act as being a protector. I think that he really did Minneapolis a solid there, made you guys look good, and I just want to say that the response is really coming out, and it must be so hard for you guys to just really stay peaceful and be in prayer. And so thank you for your leadership on that level. But you know also, all people haven't let up over at the Whipple building. They're still over there. And props to the non-Indian community. They're really, a lot of them are just stepping up and doing what we need them to do, is be good allies about this situation, right?
yeah. I mean, the faith communities, there were 100 of them arrested Saturday down over at the Whipple building. There were a
And,
number of them arrested out at the airport the other
yep.
day.
Yep.
And then you have the musicians. There was 600 people at some church. I don't know which one it was. Also the other day, just in there singing, and and people are making new songs and they're raising their voices and you know, that's one of the most important things I think we can do. And that's why we're going to go down there and sing today is,
Hmm.
you know, to lift our voice for the people and for the people who have been captured and try to help keep spirits up. There are, I think, you know, when George Floyd happened, it was, you know, it was just about a black man, right?
Hmm.
But now you have these, you know, these white folks being killed, and you know there was three shootings in the last 3 weeks, and you know they don't talk too much about the guy who was shot in the leg before Alex was killed.
Right.
But so now it's everybody, right?
Right.
It's not just the immigrant community. It's not just people of color. It's everybody's in it. And as you know, friends call me from around the country. You know what I've been telling them is you know, get your U.S. senators to vote. It's going to be Thursday. Vote against the Homeland Security bill, and it may shut down the government, but at some point you have to take a stand.
Yeah.
And we've been taking a stand for the last, you know, 2 months here in Minnesota, and now we need people around the country to take a stand with us.
That's
I
right.
I understand that one of the Democratic senator, or not senators, representatives out of New York, who, you know, crossed the aisle and voted for the bill in the House, you know, now says, you know, I'm sorry, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But we need the U.S. senators across the country in every state to vote no, and you know, the constituents of all these states, you know, have to do that. And you know, and it's hard to like you know, like I posted, I say it, and people will say, I call my representative. No, it's not your representative. They've already passed it. It's gone by them. The only place we can stop it is in the US Senate. And, you know, every state has representatives and every state has senators, and some more than others, but it's your senator, your US senator that you have to call, so that this can be stopped on Thursday. And you know, so that's what I've been telling people when they call me. That's what I've been posting about.
Great.
And you know, it always amazes me, you know, how little people know about actually how the government works. You know, this is your government, it's a representative government, and we should all understand the basic mechanisms of it. And that there's a difference between senators, there's a difference between representatives. And right now, like people should understand the Constitution. And right now, the US Constitution is being trampled.
Yep. That's right.
You know, Alex, and you know, he was practicing his First Amendment right to free speech, right?
Right.
And his Second Amendment right that everybody, you know, especially in these northern states and the Deep South want to uphold, and that's the right to bear arms, right?
That's right. That's right.
Under the law, every state's different, but Minnesota, there is a conceal and carry law, and he had a legal right to carry that gun, and he did not brand it,
No.
you know, no matter
They
what
didn't
they
shoot
say.
him
We
until
all,
they took the gun away. I mean, everyone saw them take the gun away and then him die. So like it's out there. And the gaslighting right away by that administration, we watched it. It's a tragedy. So Sharon, we are going to share John Thune's contact information. John Thune is, our senator here, and he's very influential. And if folks haven't called him, please do. And that's going to be the call that we're going to make to everyone is, get on him. And he needs to be doing his job. And this is a long time now, the Constitution has meant nothing, and now it's this it's warfare, and it's on our streets, and it's on the streets of Minneapolis. Those of us who've grown up here in South Dakota and North Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, everyone goes to Minnesota and Minneapolis. And so all of us have good feelings about going to games there, and supporting everyone, and none of us want to live in a war zone. And if we continue to fund this war on people of color, it seems like immigrants, folks who speak different languages, we need to continue. We need to stop funding that, and we could put that money into solving poverty. Right? Poverty is a choice, so we could solve that policy choice And, it seems like in South Dakota here, all we do is talk about building prisons. And, we don't need to, have, more criminals. We need to have, money into solving these problems so that kids don't end up criminals, right? We're just like, from the prison, or from the high school to the prison. That's the way that they're legislating. That's where they're saying that's all they have money for. And so, all this money for what they're doing there in Minneapolis, and it's not doing anyone any good, but making some people who are profiting off of it for real.
Yeah.
Because one of the other things that I heard on the ground was that people are being transported from Minneapolis on a flight to New Mexico at another facility and then transported back the next day. So who's
Yeah.
that benefiting? That's benefiting the contractors, right? You've heard that too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and even locally, they're sent to one place and they're sent to another place and then back. And
yeah,
the young. I don't want people to forget about the young 5-year-old,
yeah,
um, who was indigenous to Central America. Him and his dad, that they're sitting in Texas someplace,
yeah.
that they snatched up,
Used them as
and
bait.
that could happen to
Yeah,
anybody. And
yeah.
I think right now, if you're a U.S. citizen and they grab you up, they will release you in about 8 hours. Although that's not what happened to the young man from Red Lake, or my friend's daughter.
That's right.
They
That's
held
right.
them for much longer.
Yeah,
But if you're a citizen, they'll hold you for a while and then they'll let you go. But not so for the people who cook in our restaurants, clean our buildings and do our landscaping. Those folks are being sent back to countries that they don't even know that
that's right. That's
um,
right.
or where they're going to be treated badly. And some people that were here on asylum, that legally they have a right to be here while they're seeking asylum,
That's
and
right.
they've been deported back to the countries that they're seeking asylum from because
Yeah,
of fear for their lives. And so this is all just so inhumane and heartless, and the only way we can stop it is on Thursday with voting, U.S. senators voting against that. In the meantime, I just want to say one other thing. And, people have been calling me also about like, what can we do? What do you need? We have raised some money for security because, of course, at Indigenous Peoples Task Force, we have 14 units of residencies. And, we have elders, we have people, everybody in our units are people with disability. And they're feeling very, very vulnerable. So we've been hiring people to patrol. All the security companies are over, they have no capacity. And so we've been hiring young men from the Indigenous Protectors Movement, or many shields, to do the patrols in the evening. And so there's that need for continued security. But also yesterday I had a phone call from a young woman. She's a coach at one of the high schools in on the north side. And she said that a lot of if I could help her raise money for uniforms. And I said, no, I'm a little busy right now raising money for food and other things. And she said, oh, of course. And she said, I will continue to do what I do. She said, but, I've also been going to the food shelves for some of these young men. And so we're gonna, set aside 10 bags of groceries for them to come pick up on Thursday. And so we do have, a need always for not just food. We have money in our budget to provide food for 100 people every week. But now, there's other things people need. People, especially the people who are afraid to leave their homes, and that those are things like, toiletries and over-the-counter medicines and diapers and things like that. And also, we're pretty much depleting our source of our traditional medicines.
Okay,
And
okay.
so this weekend, I think, we'll take some of our elders and some of our people will go out and, we can harvest some red willow, but we also people have, sage or those kind of medicines. That would be helpful as well.
Okay, great. Well, Sharon, I'm going to share your the contact information after this, so folks know, and then we'll be going live here later, answering questions on the air. So we'll keep in contact, and we'll keep praying for you. And please come back again and let us know how it's going, because it means so much to us to have someone on the ground, so we actually know. Because as you know, they don't tell the truth a lot of times. So appreciate you so much, and take care over there.
Okay, thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Sharon.